410 windows. Whenever feasible, historical windows should be repaired rather than replaced. If they may be replaced with a new windows, should be replaced with the old one. Windows are an important design feature for most of the building, including the warehouse factories. They reflect the historic period, architectural style, regional characteristics, technological development of the building, which they are changed. The historical appearance of the building and also changed. Evaluating significance of the windows, they should be considered historically, architecturally significant. If they are originals, reflect the original design of the building, reflect the historic period, regional style, all building practice of the building, and is constructed reflect the building change of the major historical periods, events, and that are examples of exceptional craftsmanship and design. 410.1 Window survey. The maintenance decision should be started with the window survey of the records of the condition of every window in the building, the window schedule listing of all the parts of each of the unit, which space for the notes, existing conditions of the repair. The instruction is helpful here. Start at the top of the historical building maintenance for this treatment sequence. Do not take the next step until it's necessary. Do not do simple maintenance first. Repair is needed to replace the damaged missing parts and combined with the replacement entire unit in kind, but only if they cannot be repaired. Do not give up too soon on the idea of repairing wooden and metal windows and seal sashes. If a window must be replaced, make sure the replacement matches the original exactly. The figure 1418 and 1419. Custom built and stock replacement windows suitable for most 19th and 20th century buildings are readily available commercially from the special windows companies. Good mill workshops can duplicate parts such as mutants and bottom rails, which can be placed on the old sashes. Consult the State Historical Preservation Office for help in finding replacement source in the area. When selecting replacement, may pay special attention to patterns of the opening of their size, the portion of the frame and the sash, variation of window panes and mutant profiles, type of the wood, painting colors, characteristics of glass, associated details with it, such as hardwoods, arc tops, and hoods, and other decorative elements. Although reproduction handmade glass is commercially available, the existing old glass that show the manufacturing irregularities, such as bullseye, bubbles, and classing streaks, the discolorization caused by the age of the should be protected during the repair process. Reuse, if practicable, decorative colored and or stained glass. Rebubbled glass is especially important for the preservation. Replace only with as much historical material as is necessary. Lower sash that decay, but the upper sash as inside with replace only the lower sash. If the sill is rotten, the butt, the head of the jam. The sound replaced only if the seal, only in the sill. Alright, 418 shows historical windows inappropriate replace. Historical windows have been inappropriately replaced with a modern example of the second floor within the adverse effect of the historical character of the building. 410.2 Maintenance of the repair of wood windows sash. Check with the wood decay and will dry the wood and treat with the fungicide as needed. Replace the repair to decay with the wood epoxies and replace the spicing of the new wood. Prime the dried out wood with the leanest lines oil before repainting with the windows of the repaint with the historical colors. Do the color analysis to determine the original colors before beginning to remove the paint. Remove excessive deteriorated paint as needed to remove the built work of the easily provided with the sound surface for the repainting. Strip the paint using the appropriate method. 419 shows a filled-in arc and inappropriate repair. Original arc window decorative stone lining had been removed. The arc filled in with a modern window installed, not just approved but boring. Use care not to be damaged the profile of the molding with a scraping tool. Sand carefully as not to be blunt the edge of the molding. If the heat gun is used, either remove the glass from the gas sashes to protect the sudden temperature changes within the gypsum board covered with aluminum foil to damage. Areas large have rubber cover the frame sashes custom made with the match of the original sashes and or frames. Alright, 410.3 Metal windows. If steel windows are basically sound, it is often more economically to repair retrofit than them to replace them. Remove the light strat and rust flagging, excessive paint with the prime the exposed metal with the rust inhibiting prime. Replace the cracked and broken glass glazing compound. Replace the missing screws and fasteners, cleaning and lubricating hinges. The double hung windows do's and don'ts. Rust and paint removal. Rust can be removed in hand without the wire brush and aluminum oxide. Sandpaper with the power tool, such as an electrical drill with a wire brush, rotary whip attachment, protect adjacent windowsill jams, and chemical rust removal as well as also work well, but do not use hydrochloric acid. It leaves deposits that can cause further corrosion. Protecting the masonry glass with the chemicals with the plastic sheets. Remove the chemical residual metal with a damp cloth, not running water and dry cloth through them immediately. Do not use oxyacetylene propine touch with the bird off rust. If intensity heat distort the metal of the breaking of the window glass, and it also vaporizes the lead into the oil paint. Low pressure sandblasting 80 to 100 pounds per square inch. Using a number 10 to 45 grit glass pellets can be used to remove the heavy rust. After removing the window glass, bare metal should be wiped in denatured alcohol or other cleaning solvent, quickly wiped dry, and primed immediately with 2 coats of an anti-corrosive oil alkali base paint containing zinc and zinc chromate. This shows a picture of windows. Alright, repaint all steel section with the 2 coats finish paint compatible with the primer, the caulk masonry surrounded by the high quality of the elastometric caulk. Heavy repair of steel windows. Bent and bowed metal sections can sometimes straighten within place of applying with the pressure of the straightened bound mutants and a wire capable of the winch applying with the progressive greater than pressure over several days. First, remove the glass and protect the mutants within 2 by 4 bracing. Bowed section caused by the corrosion may have to be cut and welded loose joints replaced with decayed pieces of the new steel. The patch small holes and uneven areas of the auto body compound plumbers exposing the most hinges of the hardware of the steel windows are made of the browns of the cleaning of the mineral spears with the browns wool and clean cloths with the spray with a non-greasy lubricant. Replacement. If the sash must be replaced, some of the manufactured rolled steel of the windows can be fabricated the replica of the large order standard of the pre-World War II with multiple windows using traditional 12 by 18 or 14 by 20 glass size available to industrial, commercial, security, and residential configurations. Do not replace with the sash using the materials such as extruded aluminum, wood, vinyl, because they cannot match the thin profiles rolled in the steel section. If you need help with the finding of the product information, contact the Steel Window Institute at 1230 Keith Building, Cleveland, Ohio, 44115. 410.4 Weatherizing windows. Although historical metal windows generalized are not efficiently as built, they can be weatherized in the level the comparative favorable with the new windows. The caulking weather strip is cheaply easy if the somewhat time consuming the fast payback period. Considering installing interior storm windows and loose emissivity glass in the steel sash. If mutants are deadened enough, they may possibly insulate the glass. They are commercially available. The replacement windows closely match the original in appearance, having integral weather stripping, thermal back construction, insulating glass. Caulking, weather stripping. Caulking around masonry open to reduce the infiltration, then adding the weather stripping strip, metal with vinyl stripping, compressing with from the tapes and sealant based on the type of the wall acceptable. Different circumstances with the call for the different type of the weather stripping, and the given building may need more than one type of the weather stripping. All the ways use the thinnest material, then will fill the spaces, since the thick weather stripping can spring hinges cause more gaps. Spring metal clippings are recommended with the steel windows in good condition. Paint the window before the insulation weather stripping to prevent the galvanic corrosion of the steel from the contact with the brass to bronze. For the strip material, do not imply any strip of the hinge side of the windows. Vinyl stripping may be too thick for use for some of the situation. Compressible foam is best for the large windows with only slightly bending with a distortion or with a gap no more than 1/4 of an inch. However, the foam must be replaced with more frequently than the spring metal vinyl. Sealant beads are good all around weather stripping for all the type of the metal windows and air infiltration problems. 410.5 Double glazing. The process of adding a second layer of the glazing and the window glass will approximately double the original insulation value of the window. Options include glass or acrylic panels to clear with the frame over the entire window, not suitable with windows needed for the ventilation fire exit, since the panels make a sash inoperable. Magnetic interior panels can be applied to the sash, with acrylic panels provided with 1/8 of the vapor bleeds to control the condensation, prevent the moisture damage. The bleeds will increase the energy loss sufficiently. Panel must be removed to allow the excessive moisture to be wiped away from the needs. Consideration cost ability of the window to support the additional weight, location, size of the window, lower long-term maintenance. Interior exterior storm windows may have to be specially fabricated with the match original sash configurations. And the casement storms are generally not suitable for the operating windows in the project. Either over the window frame with the open pivot the astral windows. Consideration visual sight impact on the building. Exterior storm windows particularly against the damage of the oriental windows from the air, pollutants, vandalism, etc. Or replacement thermal glass. The best for the most expensive way to upgrade the thermal efficiency to replace the original glass with the thermal is a low E glass. The new glass is usually fits the existing metal sash and does not affect the appearance of the historical building. Alright, 410.6 glass block windows. Glass block windows should be preserved and repaired with new glass blocks. Blocks are commercially available for further information. by such and such. Art 411, floor system. Avoiding installation man-made sheeting floor over the historical floor. The mastic damage to the wood surfaces. Remove the part of the wood beneath it. Wall-to-wall carpet should not be used over the fine hard wood marble area. The rugs and the better way to handle the design finish of the sound control with the baseboard part of the historical floor system. They should be reserved and prepared as necessary. Do not cut into them. Install electrical boxes, outlet, and the heating of the air conditioning vents, the telephone wires, unless there is no alternative. 411.1 wood floors. Fine pine and hardwood floors may be found in the buildings dated from the 18th to 20th century. Floorboards are in width of more than 12 inches in the 18th century down to the narrow oak with the maple strips in the 20th century. The patina and the aged surface of the window were an important part of the floor. The strip sand and the refinishing only if necessary. Do not refinish with the polyurethane. Remove any damaged section. And whenever possible, reuse the original board to supplement old boards. Unfilled boards available for the lumber specialist. See Figure 4.2, but especially careful decorative parquet floors with a wooden inlay. They often loosely carefully with a reversible wood glue. Restoring missing damaging parquet may require the specialist. Softwood flooring is often found in the 19th century. The buildings are easily gouged with a sketch and may be needed protected with the high traffic areas. Alright, 411.2 masonry floors. Marble, stone, terrazzo, and ceramic tile floors are usually very important design elements. They should be carefully maintained and repaired. Marble and other stone floors should be repaired and replaced piece by piece. Do not use abrasive or cosmetic cleaning methods for the stone floors. Terrazzo and ceramic tiles are often overlooked as part of the historical building design. They should not be covered or replaced with a man-made floor. Historical concrete floors were often intended to have a polished finish. However, many of the rough cement and concrete floors were covered with linoleum. Some of them linoleum historical patterns are still available for the modern vinyl flooring, and almost always better choice for all but historical houses museum use. 412 door. Like windows, doors are vital characteristic defining designing elements. Historical buildings, whenever possible, original exterior interior doors should be kept and repaired or refined as needed. If they are also too badly damaged, they should be replaced with exact replicas. Only the original doors should be removed and save them to be reused later time in another place in the building. To replace the identical missing of the historical doors in another building of the unusual sliding pocket doors that are sometimes found with the parlors and under the room of the Victorian house, if they should be returned to use if possible, to left unused with the package. The historical doors, if they are not currently used, should not be removed. Lock them in place and treat them with solid wall furniture surfaces necessary. New doors, and to show the remedies of loose floorboards. Alright, frames that are inserted with the original operation should fit the opening exactly the size and shape of the adding the filler panels. When refinishing doors and door frames, keep it recreated with the historical finish with the particular alert with the presence of the fine finish fine woods such as walnut, cherry, and mahogany. Doors and woodwork made most late 19th century houses were stained with the varnish and not with the painted. Sometimes only door was varnished while the rest of the woodwork was painted on the solid color. However, some of the doors were painted to look like with the grain of the marble. Often those old finishes were restored with a careful scraping. If they're too far to gone, saved and recreated with a skilled repainted with the original finishes. The guide, whenever the original finishes may have been done, do not strip the historical doors. Chemical baths weakening the glued joints and veneer destroy early finishes, may damage the wood itself. See Figure 40, 421, 425, and 426, 427. Some historical exterior doors were secured from the iron bars for the inside, but these bars were still there, kept them in use for the possible rather than insulating intrusive modern locks. Doors and new partitions should not be replicas of original doors of the building, but need not the reproduction of the period. And however, they should be sympathy with the spirit of the building, using the same of the portion level of the formality, as well as similar of the doors finishes the modern flush panel. Doors are not suitable for the use of the historical buildings. Transoms, fan lights, side lights to the historical character of the door lighting. They should be kept reglazed necessary, and do not replace the filler panels. Do not paint on the outside of the glass on and around the doors. Level beveled and or stained glass fan lights, side panels, side lights may be needed. Special consideration. Check the condition and lead times of the ornamental glass windows at a time. It tames all loose of glass bowls and repairs and should be made by specialists. All right, 413 hardware and metal, hardware and metal work. When old and original hardware exists for the other interior and exterior of the building, it should be kept and refurbished and repaired as needed. Replacement hardware should be reflective of the period original decorating with non-contemporary design. Do not add modern hardware to such rim-mounted deadbolts or other modern locks to find original doors. The old hinge lock or door knobs often have decorative finishes such as carved surfaces. Some of the doors and hardware is plated with a silver, nickel, and silver alloy called German silver. Old brass and bronze locks, hinges and plush plates, boxes, locks, iron box locks, and porcelain and glass knobs, and all contributed characteristics of historical building. Cleaning will occur in hardware if it and will not frequently use the polishing brass, bronze places and frequently handled. Typical problems in interior doors. Your architectural woodwork strip or not to strip. Abrasive methods, heat methods, chemical methods. Such as doorknob and push plates, they should not be lacquered, for such as lacquer will be uneven, make it more difficult to polish. Reproduction, replacement hardware, and parts for the widely available for commercial sources. 414. Interior parts of the floor plan with the room and the arrangement of the historical building consideration characteristics redefine the design elements should be only with the change with great caution. Generally, the new portions can only be installed in ways that will not permanently change or harm the historical materials. Do not remove the important existing portions. Do not install the portions that cannot be later removed without damage with the historical structure corridors and particular important visual elements and showed do not be altered. Cornices and decorative elements. Ceilings are and also important. Do not lower the ceiling and install fluorescent lights or to conceal wiring havoc requirements, lowering the ceiling design conserves energy. The acoustic ceiling of the tile panels should be used, and if an essential, never to even residential buildings. New openings of the partition should be similar to scale of the portion of the existing or should not need not to be reproductions. 415. Stairs. Stairways are among the most important decorative elements inside of the historical building. And in fact, some of the simple buildings that may be only the decoration, design, distinction, that should not only be enclosed, removed, and turned away in a different direction. And the fire safety code require the enclosure of the enclosure of the stair, consider the enclosure of the entire hall, and justify the stairway with creating the stair hall with the consideration portion of the fire rated with glass rather than solid parchment. Do not replace the wood, iron, and the masonry railings with baluster pattern pieces whenever possible. Install the new enclosed stair and in other less important areas. Install the other safety features and sprinklers, such as sprinklers. 416. Interior and exterior finishes. Keep the historical finishes the type of the way the paint with the stains, varnishes, wallpapers, wood, paneling of the walls, the waste and conting, ceramic tile walls and floors, simulated granite of the marbling. Do not use polyurethane finishes, woodwork floors that cannot be removed without removing the surface of the wood. Reproduction ceramic tiles are often commercially available. Keep the repair of the noble materials such as the hardwood, marble, and other fine stone. Do not paint over the noble materials such as marble or limestone. If it removed, paint is found, or etc. Remove the paint if found. Restore finishing usually require the specialist if desired. Reproduction wallpapers and historical patterns, including the borders and ceilings. Papers are widely available that should be used instead of the modern design. Fireplaces often in marble and other stones they may be decorative tiles cast in sheet metal. The metal mantle pieces of the flocks painted with mantles and over mantles. Prepare the refurnish for the possibility. Do not remove them. And closed and fireplace must be reopened in fire. As for historic, the ceilings do's and do nots. Decorative effect, patch, historic plaster walls, and if necessary to replace the new plaster over the metal lath, remain the old lath. Wood layers. Do not replace the wallpaper except for small repairs. Alright, 417. New substituted material. There are only two good reasonable replacing the historical building elements, materials that have been lost and damaged beyond repair to match visually with their before and prevent the further damage or feature of the building of the best and often cheapest way to do this is to replace the repair of the materials exactly like the original. Most often the time, closely matching materials are available, although they may require research to locate them. Sometimes, however, the historical materials are not available over the skilled craftsmanship needed to fabricate and install them cannot be found. Sometimes the old materials do not work with as well, do not last as long, cost them more than the modern substitute. Under certain circumstances, more substitute may be used instead of the original materials to make the repair and replacement of the historical buildings. Additions such as the tried and true color choice of the wood, strap, metal, mineral fiber, cement, shingles. Modern technology offers many less familiar materials so that will work well with a certain repair and replacement chores, especially if they are used in place of not seen up close. The substitute look and the behavior of the real originals installed without damaging historical features that may not be competitively priced. Alright, caution. The use of the vinyl and aluminum siding molded to urethanes and cosmetic cladding and the substitute with the wooden millwork should be avoided. Millwork is still readily available and should also be replaced in kind of exterior projects. Carefully chosen substitute materials may be acceptable when the historical material is no longer available when it cannot be delivered within a reasonable length of time. There are no skilled craftsmen available to prepare the original feature and replace or installation matching material. The historical material are poor quality and are not suitable for the use of the wear and the use they are put to. Example: early sheet metal roofing were made with a tin plate, especially which corroded easily. The closest modern equivalent tin plate is tourney coated steel. Both steel more corroded than the tourney coating and scratch. The more durable, the more expensive the choice of the replacement roof of the historical building might be the tourney-coated stainless steel or the lead-coated copper because of the materials wear much better and look very much like the original tin plate. Building with the life safety code requires the use of specific modern materials, prohibit the use of the historic ones. The cost of original materials prohibited the high quality slate roof over the last 60 years or more. The minimal maintenance for the may actually be more economically long run, but the other maintenance costs less inadequate initially need more frequently maintenance. The replacement, however, the short-term cost has to be deciding the factor in choosing the replacement roofing the badly damaged the deteriorated slate roof with the replaced with the mineral fiber cement shingles, which will look very much like slate and cost considerably less and can last 20 to 25 years and properly installed when well maintained. Alright, substitute materials should be used only with a limited scale after the careful research of learning as much as possible the proposed material for the fabricator, the installator, the specification for the use of the previous experience with the material in a similar situation, similar environment. Some materials are too new to have the real track record. Although they may look promising, they should not be used unless the manufacturer, fabricator, and or an installers can use supply satisfactory information on appearance. Does the substitute material match with the original color, texture, shape, and then well is it used to change the appearance for the building is important? Physical properties and the chemical composition of new material similar to that of the original will react with the same way to exposure, sunlight, moisture, pollution, temperature changes. Will it expand to the contract with the same rate? Will they absorb the moisture in the same way? Does it have the similar tensile comprehensive strength? Does it react with the weight of the movement of stress in the same way as the original? And the answer to the way to the question is no way. Can the new material installed with the way with the compensate with the differences? Will the differences between old and new material cause damage to the historic fabric in the building? And old buildings, the historic material is almost in all ways weaker than the new material. Needs to be protected with the stress and caused with the trap moisture with the uneven exposure to the contracting rates. Performance: will the substitute material hold up over the time? Will it need the special care of the frequent maintenance for the once it has been installed? 417.1 with the cast aluminum attributes material. The cast aluminum is multiple aluminum alloy cast and then permanent molds in one type of the sand molds of the color in front of the paint applied with the primed aluminum from the factory furnace coating to small section of the can be bolted together to achieve intricated with the sculptural details. Units casting are almost available for the items such as the common plinth blocks. Uses: cast iron aluminum can be used in the substitute with the cast iron or other decorative elements for the grill work with the roof of the cresting of the cornices, ornamental spandrel, storefront elements, column capitals, column base, and plinth blocks. Installation: it is not self-supporting if it is screwed or the bolted with the structural frame of the joint detail with important because of the galvanic corrosion problems when the cast aluminum comes in contact with the similar metals. Advantages are lightweight, 1.5 cast iron, corrosion resistant, non-combustible, integrated with the casting possible, easy assembly, good delivery time. It can be prepared with the painting variable colors, long life, durable, less brittle than cast iron. Disadvantage: lower structural strength in the cast iron, difficult to prevent galvanic corrosion within the other metals. Greater expansion contraction and cast iron needs a gasket with the caulk joints. Hard to keep painted. Checklist: can existing materials be repaired and replaced in kind? Has the cast aluminum be attached? Have the full-size details developed in each piece of the be cast? Have the expansion of the joints be detailed? Will there be galvanic corrosion problems? Have the factory finishes been protected for the during installation? Are the fabricators installators experienced? 417.2 cast stones, dry tamped attributes of material. cast and dry tamp stone with almost dry cement like lime aggregated mixture of the dry tamp and tams and into the mold to reduce the dense and stone-like unit. The sometimes cast stone is used the generic term for a precast concrete, but there are differences. The outer surface of the dry tamp cast stone looks very much like stone. The inner core of either the dry tamp support or the full concrete reinforced barriers, archiving the device for the adding during the fabrication. Uses the cast stone can be used with the place of the unbained with the detreated with the sandstone, brownstone, tetracota imitates the stone. It can be used with the surface of the wall stone, the ornamental features such as the window and door surrounded with the washer, brackets, and hoods. Advantages: closely resembles stones for textures which can be made with good molds and fabrication expansion contraction similar to stone. Minimal shrinkage of the material. Anchors reinforcing bars that can be built in material and are fire rated. Range of colors available. Vapor permeable. Disadvantage: heavy units may require additional anchorage of the color than be faded within sunlight, may not be absorbent of the natural stone. Replacement stones are obvious if few models or molds are made. Checklists are the original similar materials available. However, the units installed and are anchored. However, the performance and standards developed to ensure the color and stability. How large of the sample delivered, the site of the color finish, and the observation testing of the motor to be matched to the adjacent historical motor to achieve the coloring and tooling match. The fabricators, installers, experience 41713 precast concrete attributes material. Precast concrete with the wet mix of the cement and the aggregated with the poured with the into molds to concrete and the masonry units with molds can be made with existing good surfaces of the building of the color, generally integral with the mixture of the natural colorization from the sand aggregated with as well as the pigment avoided unsightly with air bubble to result between the natural coloring and the process. The great error must be taken in the initial long-term vibration of the mix because of its weight and the general use to produce the individual units of the masonry and not and shell panels. The precast concrete is generally used in place with the masonry materials in stone. Terracotta is used in both flat wall surfaces and the texture with the ornamental elements of the wall stones, windows, and door windows. Straight stair hands with the pay pieces of the parapets, urns, the balusters, and other decorative elements. And like dry tamp cast stone, the surface of the texture is created on the mold rather than the hand tamping. Advantages: easy fabricated to take shape. Rubber molds can be made with the building of the stone. Minimal shrinkage can be loaded with the bearing anchorage system can be cased and expansion contraction rate similar to stone material and fire rated. Range of the color aggregated available. Vapor permeable. Disadvantages: maybe more moisture absorbent than stone, although the coating is to be applied with the color of the phase of sunlight. Heavy units may require additional anchorage. Small air bubbles may disfigure the units. Replacement stones are obvious from the few molds, and the molds are made. The checklist is historical material that's still available whenever the structural anchors. The requirements have shop. The drawings have been made for each shape. There are performance standards that have them as motor and match the adjacent historic motor that achieve the good coloring tooling of the match of the fabricated installer and the experience. Glass fiber reinforced concrete. The attributes of the material: the glass fiber reinforced concrete, lightweight concrete compounds modified with the additives reinforced with the glass fiber, generally fabricated with the thin-shelled panels applied to separate the structural frame of the anchorage of the system. The glass fiber reinforced concrete is usually sprayed into forms, although it can be poured. The glass form must be alkaline resistant in order to avoid deteriorating the effects caused by the cement in the mix. Natural aggregate is provided with the most of the color within a small percentage of the added pigments as necessary. The uses of the glass fiber reinforced concrete is used to replace the features originally made with the stone, tetracora, oda, metal, or wood of the cornices, project window, the door trim, the brackets, the finals, and the wall murals. It can be placed in the long section of the repetitive design. Structural sculptural elements can also be made with most of taking directly to the building of the glass fiber reinforced concrete. It's installed to separate the non-corrosive anchor of the system and predominantly cementous material is vapor impermeable. Advantages: lightweight, easily installed, got good molding ability, crisp and detailed and possible weather resistant, can be repainted, left uncoated with little shrinkage of that during the fabrication. Molds may be directly in historical features of cement. Generally breathable material is fire rated. Disadvantages: non-load bearing, used only, generally requires separated anchored system. Large panels will be in reinforced color. Additives may be faded with the sunlight. Joints may be properly detailed, may have different absorption rate from the adjacent historical material. The checklist on original materials and craftsmanship still available. The sample to be inspected with the site ensure the detailed textures match. The anchor system has been properly designed. The performance standards have been developed. The fabricators and installers inspected. Fiber reinforced polymers (FRPs) are attributed to the material. Fiberglass is best known, but the fiber reinforced polymer products are usually produced with a thin, rigid laminate shell to form the pouring of the polyester epoxy resin gel and coating into the mold. When the tack-free layers of chopping the glass fabric and added with additional resin, they reinforced with the rod and can be added necessary gel coated. It can be pigmented and painted. The fiber reinforced polymer is usually lightweight replacement element needed with the inaccessible location. Frequently, maintenance historical materials difficulty in present stone, wood, metal, terracotta, and ornate with a carved building elements of column capitals, bases, spandrel panels, belted cores, balustrades, window hoods, and parapets. Advantage: lightweight, long span, available with a separate structural frame, high ratio, strength of weight, good molding ability, integral color, exposed to high quality pigment gel coat. It takes paint well, easily installed, and can be cut and patched and sanded and non-corrosive, rot resistant. Design disadvantages: require separate anchored system, compatibility, combustibility, fragility, impact, high coefficient expansion, contraction requirements, frequently placed in expansion joints, ultraviolet. Sensitive unless surface is coated with the pigment and the gel-coated vapor impermeability will require ventilation detail. Checklist. Can original materials be saved to use? The expansion joints be designed to avoid unsightly appearance? Are the standard for the color, the stability, and durability? You have the shop drawings being made each piece. Have samples being matched from the color and the texture of the fabricators and installers experience? Do codes resist the fiber reinforced polymer? Epoxy concretes and polymer concretes attributed. The resin is two-part with the thermosetting material used for the consolidated, but the adhesive patching compound molded resin can repair the damaged material on the recreate the lost feature of the resins or pour into the molds, usually containing the fillers such as sand and glass spheres, and lightened with the mixture modified with the expansion contraction properties. When mixed with the aggregated with sand and stone chips, they may meet the mistaken called the epoxy concrete polymer concretes that contain the non-cementitious materials. Epoxies are vapor impermeable, make the detailing of the new elements extremely important to avoid trapping the moisture behind the replacement material. They can also be used with the wood, stone, terracotta, or the various materials. Uses epoxy must be versatile with the new material. They can also be used to bind together with the broken fragment terracotta to build up the filling of the missing of the section. Ornamental metal with the cast elements of the wooden and ornamental small cast elements can be attached to existing materials. Entire new method features to be cast and the resin has been poured with the molds. Due to the rapid setting of the material, they need to avoid cracking. Molded units are generally small with the holding inside with the multiple molds combined with the larger elements. But the special rod, the epoxy structural reinforcement with epoxy of the replacement plates, including the final sculpture and details on small column capital medallions. Advantages: can be used with the repair of the placement, lightweight, easily installed, good casting ability, molds to be directly building. The feature of the material can be sanded and carved, color, ultraviolet screening can be applied with the taking wet paint. It takes paint well, durable, rot, and fungus resistant. Disadvantages: materials are flammable to generate. The heat is incurable to make toxic burn. The toxic materials require special protection, operator adequate ventilation. While incurring materials may be subject to ultraviolet deterioration unless coated with the fibers added. The rigid material often must be modified fibers and fillers to match expansion coefficient, vapor impermeable. Are your checklists? Are your historical materials available for molds or for splicing and the repair option? Has the epoxy resin been formulated with the expansion or contraction coefficient adjacent materials? Have samples been matched or color finishes? Have fabric insulators experience? Is there sound substrated material to avoid deterioration behind the new material? Are there performance standards? And that carries on chapter 4, and you should be able to read the rest, find the rest of the